Good evening, everyone. How you guys doing tonight? We are winding down to the end of the challenge, and we've got like four more sessions to go starting from tonight. We've got another one next week, and we've got two more in the next couple of weeks. I want you guys to get right into it. And if you can go back and binge watch all the sessions. I've been doing that myself. I just got off one of the sessions, the one that speaks to the strength of your why. And I'm like, oh my goodness, if only people knew what was coming up, even at the beginning of this challenge, it would have been indeed a banger. Welcome, 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 everybody. And tonight we're taking it from the heels of what we discussed last week. We're talking about the fact that you need to fight for your dreams, fight for your goals, to be the champion, win across all the boards. And now we want to knock out. It's a boxing match. Beginning from now, as we taper down to the end of the challenge, it is a boxing match. We're knocking out all our limits. Put it in the comments, say, knock out your limits. I am knocking out my limits, and I'm sure you are equally doing the same. Now, what does this mean? What kind of limits are we knocking out? I'm sure if you have gone through all this process thus far, 70 something days, we are almost done, wrapping up to the end of the challenge. I'm sure you must have faced some things that are like, oh my goodness, I never knew it was going to be this challenging. Of course, that's why it's a challenge in the first place. I never knew it was going to be this tough. I never knew it was going to be this demanding. I never knew it was going to be. But of course, you can't deny the fact that you've learned so much in the course of the journey. And that is why we are knocking out those limits. Nothing must put us down and under. We must always be on top of every circumstance in our lives and never under any circumstance. All right. And that is why we're getting right into it. Okay. The new you as a concept that you have come to learn in the course of these months, right from when the challenge began, is a complete stranger to the old you. If you recall, we started July the 23rd, right? Now we're talking about the new you. Back then in July 23rd, when we started, the new you that you're experiencing today, that is evolving today, was actually hidden in the old you way back then. It was a complete stranger to you. Now, guess what are the elements that made it a stranger to you? I'm going to be talking about that in this session. All right. There were some elements in the middle of the way. Let's say this is the old you and this is the new you. Between the old you and the new you, there was a gulf. There was a bunch of elements that didn't make the old you to recognize the new you. That is why oftentimes the decisions that you made back then, the actions that you took back then, were based on your understanding of this version of yourself. Because you didn't know that this version of yourself existed. And now I'm going to be talking about those things that were hiding between the old you and the new you. The job of these elements, these things that are sitting in between the old you and the new you, the job of them are singular, even though there are all kinds of elements, various kinds of elements, but we're going to be touching on maybe 6 of them tonight, the 6 major ones that comes to mind. Their mission is singular, to prevent you from, one, knowing about the new you, or even getting to meet the new you. Isn't that awful? Isn't that sad? These elements just ganged up together, and their mission is to deny you from knowing about the fact that there is a new version of yourself or getting to meet them in the first place. Now, these elements can also be referred to as limits. You see where I'm going now? That's why we need to knock them out. All right? We need to knock them out. They have done so much damage in the course of our lives. They have blinded us from seeing the version that we ought to be in our lives. These limits, they come in different forms, but their mission is the same, just to keep you stuck in the old you. How many of us have been in a situation where you just seem so stuck? You've tried all kinds of things and everything just seems so stuck, like nothing is working. I'm sure that must have been one of the symptoms of the old you. But if you look at the new you, you realize that you know better. Because you know better, you behave better. And because you behave better, you think better, you will better, you do better, and now you have better. Things are happening in the new version of yourself compared to the old version of yourself. All right? Remember that you're a fighter, and that is why we are not taking any chances. If you go back and watch what we discussed last week, by now you'll be gingered up that you are against an enemy. And that enemy is what is preventing you from seeing the full potentials of the new version of yourself. And it's not just going to be one winning. You have to win across the board so that you can become a champion. All right? Remember that you're a fighter. You must put on your boxing gloves. And that's what we're dealing with tonight. When we talked about it last week, we said as a fighter, we are going to be dealing with every area of our lives. Remember the 7 areas of our lives that we talked about? We need to trash it. It is war. I mean, we are no longer playing around. We ain't messing around anymore. I mean, if this thing could be so wicked to deny us from seeing the new version of ourselves, do you want to take it lightly with them? Hell no. We are taking the battle back to the limit. We are knocking down those limits. We are pulling down everything that has denied us from having a well orchestrated introduction to the new version of ourselves. You're a fighter. Put on your gloves. Who is ready to fight with me? Put it in the comment and say, I am ready to fight. I am ready to fight. But fighting is not just as simple as it is. You must know who you are fighting. I mean, take a cue from the legendary boxer, Muhammad Ali. He said, your hands can't hit what your eyes can't see. That means before you fight, you must even have a clear picture of who you are fighting. Or else what you'll be doing is shadow boxing all over the place. You'll be shadow boxing. I mean, nobody wants to do that. We ain't playing anymore. We ain't messing around. This time around, we are fighting to finish. So how do we understand or how do we recognize the people that we need to fight? So we don't go shadow boxing or fighting against ourselves. That is what we're dealing with tonight. We are taking it granular this time around. We are opening it up and taking it in every detail as much as we can. For the rest of this challenge, we have learned the bulk of what we need to learn. Now it's time for application. We want to knock out all those limits. Nothing should put us down and under anymore because we are a champion. Your hands can't hit what your eyes can't see. Now it's time to see those elements that have positioned themselves as limits in our lives for so long. The number one on that list, are you ready? Get your fingers ready and put them on your keypads or your keyboard and type out the number one enemy, ignorance. Did you get that? Number one is ignorance. Number two, comfort. Oh, yeah. Comfort is an enemy. Yes. Number three, stress or fatigue. Yeah. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. Number four, attention span. Yeah. Attention span. I'm sure many of us, we started this challenge back in July. And I mean, the viewership on any of the live calls were like blowing the charts. But somewhere along the line, attention span started dragging, life started happening, and it became increasingly difficult. We're going to trash them tonight. Number five, discouragement. And number six, overwhelm. I'll take it again. Number one, ignorance. Number two, comfort. Number three, stress or fatigue. Number four, attention span. Number five, discouragement. Number six, overwhelm. These are the key elements that we are knocking down beginning from tonight. Who's with me? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. We're going to be knocking down these guys in every area of our lives. And that is what I want us to do tonight as much as possible. I hope it is going to be an engaging and interactive session because I'm going to share a bit and I would like to also have questions so that we can deal with these things. So that it won't just be a one-way traffic. This is not a radio. This is not just one podcast. This is an interactive training. We cannot afford to let these things limit us. We cannot afford to let all these limits hang around for any minute longer. I think they've done enough. They've done enough. If you want to be like me, that will put on your Niger hood, pack your load and go. Put them in the comment section. Pack your load and go. If you want to say it, ignorance, pack your load and go. Comfort, pack your load and go. Stress, pack your load and go. Attention span deficit, pack your load and go. Discouragement, pack your load and go. Overwhelm, pack your load and go. Enough is enough. And guess what? Until the universe understands that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of having all these limits around, they will hang on to you like a leash. Like leeches. So it's until you tell them, just pack your load and go. And that is what I want to do tonight. I want to knock out all these limits in our lives. We need to knock them out. So tonight, what we're basically going to be dealing with is we'll take our financial life, and if time permits, we'll take our mental life. That's what I said last week, that we're going to take any of all these 7 aspects of our lives, and we'll be taking them and breaking them down one by one. Now, vis-a-vis all these limits that we've mentioned, let's look at our financial life. Now, for our finances, because I understand in my head, I don't even need to be a prophet to know that many of us have financial challenges on top of our lists. So many bills to pay, so much to do, inflation scare. And if you're in this side of town, you're dealing with the weakness of the currency. We're dealing with all kinds of things. Purchasing power. It's alarming. But guess what? Those are circumstances. That is not you. There's a difference between you and circumstances. You can choose to be under the circumstance, or you can choose to be on top of the circumstance. But however you want to look at it, there will always be circumstances. Write that down. There will always be circumstances. But you choose where you want to be around those circumstances. If you want to be under it, or if you want to be on top of it. And that is what we're dealing with tonight. Now, let's talk about finances. For finances, there are 3 things that we need to know. Number 1 is value. Number 2 is income. And number 3 is expenses. I hope you guys are taking note tonight. Like I said, call your neighbor, call your enemy, call your accountability partner. They must not miss the energy that is vibing life tonight, because we are coming with an anger. We want to knock down some limits tonight. If you watch the delayed broadcast, maybe what you'll be getting is information, because there are some things that are taught and there are some things that are caught. I don't know if someone catch that. There are some things that are taught, T-A-U-G-H-T, and there are some things that are caught, C-A-U-G-H-T. When it's a live session, when the energy is fresh, there are some things that are caught, and you don't want to miss that moment. If you watch a delayed broadcast, maybe you'll be getting the things that are taught. So pay absolute attention tonight. And I'm trusting that God will indeed share some things with us tonight on how to deal with these matters once and for all. You've been to 1 billion trainings. You've been to 1 billion conferences. We've been to a billion forums, webinars, this, that. Everybody's looking for success here and there. But you realize that at the end of the day, you're still back at where you were. Are you not tired? It is time to realize that there are some things that have been hanging around you like a shadow. You go from conference to conference, but there is still some level of ignorance. You go from conference to conference, but there's still the comfort zone that gives you a distorted view of how bad things are. You go from conference to conference and you become so stressed out. You go from conference to conference, but your attention span is getting dimmer and dimmer by the day. And there's so much to put into this mind. You get home, there are family issues. You get home, there are spousal issues. You get home, there are extended family issues. So many things fighting for this simple attention of yours when you're not a pizza. You go for every opportunity to make your life better, but you come back discouraged. Enough is enough. And at the end of the day, you're so overwhelmed. And that is what I want to deal with tonight. When we're talking about finances, we want to break it down. There are three concepts. There is value, there is income, and expense. Let's start with value. For every one of us in the room, the first thing we must understand is that finances, by default, was not meant to be on our prayer request list. Okay. I'm shaking tables tonight. Finances were not meant to be on our prayer request list. Let it sink in. Let it sink in. Before you say, Coach Tapo, what are you up to this night? Finances are meant to be an entitlement, a default setting. But what we have as a challenge is not the absence of finance. What we have as a challenge is the awareness of finance. Somebody write that down. The challenge is not the absence of finance, but the awareness of finance. Now let's talk about the awareness, because we are taking all these limits and we're now using it to expose or reveal the different areas of our lives. We're using ignorance now to expose so many things. The problem that most of us experience in our finances is ignorance, myself inclusive. When we take value, which is the first bullet point under the header of finance, we must understand, how does value work? Money in itself is an abstract. I'm sure I've mentioned this maybe in one of the trainings, but today we want to break it down. Today is deliverance service. Can I get an amen? Value is that gift that has been given to every one of us. Value is that gift that has been given to every one of us to exchange for money. When you take the value that you have and you present it to the person who needs it, the person is automatically meant to give you money in return. So you can as well write it down and say, money responds to value. You've heard it before, right? But this time we want to break it down. We want to narrow it home. All right? There is only one language that money understands. Money doesn't understand fasting. Money doesn't understand prayers. Money doesn't understand crying. Money doesn't understand pity party. Money doesn't even understand puppy dog look. Money understands value. The language that money understands is value. Now, what is value? Value is what is in the mind of the person who wants to give money away. I'm sure you didn't see that coming. Value is what is desired by the person who wants to give money away. So value is not particularly what you define, but value is what the customer defines. I want to break it down tonight. Most of all these things might be like things you've heard before, but I want to paint them in a light that will make you see some new dimensions, because we are breaking the limits, we are knocking down ignorance tonight. This training that I'm giving, to me, I might think it's value, but I can tell you for free, it is not value to everybody. Did you get that? This training that I'm giving tonight is not value to everybody. And of course, you can tell how many people are in the room right now. But there are some people that have things that are more valuable to them than this right now. For some people, it's their sleep. For some people, it's another meeting. For some people, it's a TV show. For some people, it's hanging out with friends. For some people, it could be a football match. It could be anything. So value is interpreted by the person who holds the money. So having that at the back of our mind, we must understand that we are in that day and age where we need to reskill ourselves. Write that down. We need to reskill ourselves. Gone are the days where we need to be held by the mantra that I studied engineering, I studied medicine, I studied law, I studied business administration. Forget what you studied. Go and reskill. This is 2023. The needs are changing. We are chasing a moving target. Write that down. We are chasing a moving target. If you had your degree 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, wherever you are in this room, my brother, my sister, please forget about those degrees. That is one of the limits that has held us for so long. We think we can still carry the ego that I am a graduate. Nobody cares that you're a graduate. Let's break down this table. We must shake it tonight. Value is no longer what you think it is. Value is in the subject of who is holding the cash. Let me go a step further. Value is not what you think you are doing for money right now. Value is what people are paying for right now. So it doesn't matter if what you are doing has a fancy title to it. It doesn't matter if what you are doing has a nice ring to it. As long as you are broke, people are not paying for what you're having right now. That is the litmus test. These are the limits that we need to break down. These are the walls that we need to break down. It is very simple. If what you have, no matter how flowery it is, people are not paying for it right now, if it is not making you be on top of the world, that's a sign. Go and reskill. The problem that most of us, myself inclusive, face is, how do I drop this toga that I wear and now go and start learning? They're saying, doing tech. Yeah, I'm not a techie person. No. Where do I want to start? Tech is not for, no. It's not about who you are, and it's not about what you know. It's about who you know. Write it down. It's not about what you know, it is about who you know. What are people paying for now? Most of us, we've got children that are in school right now that are studying for what will completely be irrelevant by the time they graduate. True or false? It is time that we stop shooting. There's this skill when you are shooting ducks, when ducks are flying in the air and you are shooting ducks. You don't shoot them where you sit them. You shoot at where they are flying to. That is the trick. If you are chasing a moving target, you don't aim at where they are at the moment. You aim at where they are going. I don't know if someone is catching what I'm dropping tonight. That is the clue to finances. And like I've always done, I've always used the illustration of painkillers. If someone has some pain or headache and you present them with vitamins, you are not meeting their need. That vitamin is not valuable. But when someone has a headache and you present them with painkillers, they will pay for painkillers. Money is easy to make if only we can knock down the limits of ignorance. Let me stay on this value for a bit. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, whether you're doing something right now or you're not even doing something right now, what you should be thinking out right now is, what do people want? And they don't have to be what do people want physically around you. Technology has done the heavy lifting since COVID. What are the needs of the world? That is where your eyes should be going. There is no member of this challenge. After this challenge, you have no business being broke. This is not prayer. This is not amen. No, this is knocking down ignorance. You have a phone in your hands. All you need to do is Google what are the top 5 needs in the world. Go to Google Trends. Go to ask the public, go to different platforms where people converge and provide information and ask, what are the top 5 needs in the world? Number 1 need, how to make money. I'm not ranking them in any particular metric, but I know that one of the needs that people are looking for is how to make money. One of the needs is health, how to be in great health. Healthcare is a need. Food is a need. Relationships is a need. Relationship as it pertains to sexual health is a need, is a strong need. Parenting is a need. Just look around you. All the opportunities, they are wearing lab coats, and labeled on the lab coat is problems. I'm sure you've heard all these things before, but I want to bring it alive in a different dimension today. That if you are struggling with your finances, it's time to lift that limit. We are still dealing with ignorance. We've not even talked about other limits that are fighting your finances, but we want to break it down tonight. I'm not seeing comments. I don't know. Is it that the thing is eating deep into our heads, or our barrier is not writing? But you can catch what I'm saying. That sniffing for needs should be your number 1 priority. Write that down. Sniffing with your nose. Sniffing for needs should be your number 1 priority. And don't forget, your natural nose sniffs, but your supernatural nose gets inspiration. By now, you must have known the parallel between your natural senses and your supernatural senses. I've talked about it many times in this challenge. Where you have your sense of sight, your supernatural sense is insight. Where you have your sense of smell, your supernatural sense is inspiration. When you have your sense of taste, your supernatural sense is intuition. When you have your sense of skin, your international, your supernatural sense is instinct. When you have your sense of hearing, your supernatural sense is instruction. You must know the mirror of your natural and supernatural senses and know how to begin to apply them. So if you are sniffing for opportunities with your natural nose, you need to tune in to your supernatural nose, which is your inspiration, to begin to decode what are people looking for. Sniff for needs, and you will never be broke in your life. It doesn't matter if you have the capacity or the competence to meet that need. That is secondary. Primary thing that you need to do is sniff for needs. You must be a problem junkie. You must be a needs junkie. You must have a database of needs. People have housing needs. That's why someone can get a 3.5 billion naira house and brag about it. Speaking of value, let me talk a bit about abundance mindset and scarcity mindset. I'm sure you must have heard about it many times, but I want to paint a perspective tonight. Did you know that all the money in the world are in the world? Let me confuse you. Follow me. Did you know that all the money in the world are in the world? All the wealth in the world are still in the world. All the resources in the world are in the world. None of them left. So, where did we get the scarcity mindset from? That the resources on earth vanished and left and went to Jupiter. So, the issue we are dealing with is not absence of money. The issue we are dealing with is distribution of money. And whether you like it or not, wealth can never be distributed equally. Wealth can only be distributed according to the measure of value, because that is the only language that wealth understands. If today the world leaders come together and say, okay, there are 8 billion people on the planet. Let us take all the wealth in this world and share it equally in 8 billion ways. Follow me closely. If all the world leaders agree and say, you know what, all the wealth in the world, let's assume there are 8 billion people on the planet, let us share it equally amongst 8 billion people. Today, the 8th of October, I can guarantee you by 25th of December, by Christmas, the wealth would have been redistributed. Kai, did somebody catch what I just said? The wealth in the world will all is like, it's just the way water finds its level. That is the way wealth finds its level. Because wealth flows in the direction of value. Wealth flows in the direction of who knows how to use it. So that is why we need to fight the limit called scarcity. That ignorance that makes us think maybe some people are just, God just made some people to be rich and God made some people to be poor and there's nothing we can do about it. It's our destiny. Shut up! Shut up. There's some stinking thinking that needs to be thrown into the gutter. If you are broke today, it's your fault. There's no generational curse. I don't know if this delivers you today. If you go through this challenge and you come out still thinking that there is a reason outside of you that you are broke, don't let me say it. I'm not saying this because I'm Dangote. I'm saying this because I have been there. I've been broke with a triple R until I got that epiphany that I will never get extra 1 naira until I give an extra value. Money flows in the direction of value. And this value must be clearly understood. This was what inspired me to write the book that I wrote just before COVID, The Science of Value, or How to Boost Your Sales Value. Because when I went through, I suffered. As an employee, I suffered. Because I thought that as long as I was hardworking, as long as I was being loyal, as long as I was putting in the work, as long as I was grinding and killing myself, someday God will remember me and say, my son, take money, take, until God slapped me one day and showed me what I'm teaching today. That it's your fault. It told me that it's on you. And that's what I want to teach you guys tonight, especially for those that might be under that level of financial bondage. I want to deliver some people tonight that never believe a lie that makes you think that there is a reason that is justifiable for you to be broke. Never. And I'll break it down tonight. Like I said, I hope we'll be able to go past financial life today, because I know finance is the elephant in the room. I can't be having a challenge knowing that the people on my challenge are broke. It hurts my heart. So first, you must understand how value works. You must understand the science of value. There is a science to value. There is a chemistry to value. And there are factors that affect value. There are some factors that are within your control, and there are some factors that are outside your control. But you must understand them to know how to use them. First, you must understand what people want. The next thing is you must understand how badly they want it. I mean, the way I would want a new pair of shoes now could be different from the way I would want a glass of water if I'm thirsty. Personal preference. I don't know if you're catching what I'm saying tonight. In fact, there was an example I cited in the book that, okay, you come back from work, thirsty, parched, and all that. You're very thirsty that all that you need right now is a glass of water. And imagine someone now hands you a bunch of bananas. Bunch of bananas is valuable, it's nice, but it's going to make you even more thirsty. That person handing you a bunch of banana right then and there is not doing justice. If someone brings a bunch of banana and someone brings a glass of cold water, which one would you go for? This is the way you should. This is the epiphany I had, which is what I now teach today. That oftentimes we always present what we think is valuable. We always present what we think is valuable, not being mindful of what the other person thinks is valuable. And until we start speaking the other person's language, we will still struggle. That is why selling should not be difficult, because selling is pretty much serving. Selling is serving. If you know how to serve people what they want, you get money like this. So the first thing is you understand the need, follow the need, find the need. The next thing you now do is scale the need. Number one, find the need. Number two, scale the need. How? In the order of importance. There are some things that are nice to have. There are some things that are need to have. So when you begin to scale those needs, you now begin to rearrange your priorities. That which one what kind of needs do I want to meet? Do I want to meet the needs that are nice to have, or do I want to meet the needs that are need to have? For instance, I go to a designer store. I see a lovely pair of outfits. I mean, it's a nice to have in my wardrobe. And on the flip side, I see my children, they're going to school. School fees needs to be paid. For me, where do you think my attention will be as a father? That is what I'm talking about. As much as the lovely Armani suits is a nice to have, my children's school fees is a need to have. I can't guarantee that these videos will be on for long. That's why I keep reiterating that you guys should watch it and binge watch and binge watch. So find the need, scale the need. Number three, position for the need. Find the need, scale the need, position for the need. It is then you now ask yourself, do I want to get rich quick or do I want to get rich slow? I made an analogy that I put in my book. I said, if you want to make $1 million, you can decide to sell 1 million items at $1 to 1 million people. Or you can decide to sell one item at $1 million to one person. Or you can decide to spread it across that spectrum, which is 100,000 to 100,000 people, 10,000 to 100,000 people, and 1,000 to 100,000 people, and all those metrics. The choice is yours. Do you want to get rich quick or get rich slow? That's why I spent the second session dealing with failure codes. Getting rich slow is criminal. There's nothing wrong in getting rich quick if you are doing it the right way. Don't let a program get into your head that fast money is bad money. Why do you want to wait until you sell 1 million items to 1 million people before you make at $1, before you make $1 million? Why don't you find a more valuable item that is $1 million and look for that one person that can find it, make one sale, and go home and sleep? Is someone feeling me tonight? That is a metaphoric analogy, but you can apply it to your business and say to yourself, do you want to be selling things for the mass market or do you want to be selling for the elites? That's what I'm asking you. Do you want to keep selling brokers things? Because when you are selling broke things, do you know the kind of people you'll be attracting? Broke people. And what do broke people bring to your table? Broke energy. That's why if you go to some places where they sell things that only attract low life people, you realize that these people can never, they can never excel. It's not a curse. You look at someone, the person has a tray of all kind of wares, and you do the math and you say, you know what, Mama, how much is all these things everything you have on this your tray? How much? Guess what? The mama wasn't even thinking about how much everything is, because the mama will now begin to count it. 100, 100. By the time you do the math, everything is not even up to 5,000 naira. So the mind has been caged in activity pursuits, not productivity pursuits. Because the energy it takes to sell things to 5,000 people is the same energy it takes to sell to one person. Am I delivering someone from financial lack tonight? My mission, for whoever has heard it before, is to deliver Africa from mental and material poverty. And that is why I take this subject passionately. That the first thing that you must get rid of is the mental glut, mental rot, mental sludge. I don't know if we will have the time, but let's just take it as it go if we'll get to mental life yet. But I want us to completely smash this financial issue. Yeah, I agree with you. Now, for those business model, for things like betting, gambling, and all those kind of things, those are exceptionals. Those are things that already have an automated way to serve a mass market. Someone is talking about the fact that you can sell betting to brokers people and make revenue. The fact that you are not selling the business model is not high touch. You are not selling to 1 million people one-on-one. You just created an automated platform that collects money from people and refuses to give them back. So that person is not dumb. Baba Ijebu is not dumb. You get the point I'm trying to make? But if you have to take this 1 million items, put it on your head and hit the road, if your cost of business is not giving you the right margins, by the time you do your cost of product and your selling price and your margin, by the time you realize that your margin is not worth the headache that you're putting into it, you're on the wrong road. Please type it there. I want soft life. That's for me. I want soft life. I don't want rough life at all. So that's what I'm trying to bring down tonight. That number one, in the area of ignorance, you must understand that money understands only one language. It doesn't understand crying. It doesn't understand begging. For those that think they can make a life out of urgent 2K, it is never sustainable. The only language that money understands is value. And that value must be interpreted by the person who has the money. There's something I said to my clients at some point. I said, never believe a lie when a customer tells you they don't have money. Why? Customers have money. Customers want to give away money. Customers want to give away money in exchange for value. Number four, customers want to give away money in exchange for value from someone that they trust. Why? Because customers don't want to eat their money. Should I repeat that? Number one, customers have money. Number two, customers want to give away money. Number three, customer wants to give away money in exchange for value. Number four, customers want to give away money in exchange for value from someone they trust. And number five, customers don't want to eat that money. In this side of town, the price of fuel, petrol, increased significantly. But guess what? You have no choice. You go and look for the money wherever it is, and you pay for it. Because the money that you have in your hand, you cannot eat it. You want to give that money away in exchange for value. So even if they come tomorrow and they say fuel is 2,000 naira per liter. You will cry, you will look for money, you will buy. That is how life works. Money doesn't respond to begging, it responds to value. So find the value. In fact, right now, like I said, forget about any course that you studied. Forget about anything that has ever given you a sense of pride. Forget about your certificate. Forget about all those things. Throw them in the dustbin and start control, alt delete, start afresh and say, what is the need? This is one thing they didn't teach us in school. They taught us, go to school, get a good grade, a job will be waiting on your desk. How many is that working for today? Find the need. What do people need? Because the world is designed to have needs. The moment we run out of needs in this world, that is the day that we will have chaos, anarchy, and doom. And that's what people don't know. People want needs to go away. Needs cannot go away. Needs are what bring money. Look around you. Listen to conversations. What are people saying? You just have someone say something, and okay, I'll get to that part in a bit. The first part is find the need, scale the need, position yourself for the need. Now, that is the first part of it. Now, the second part is how do you meet the need, right? Like I said earlier, you don't need to worry yourself about having the competence level to meet the need. What you need to worry yourself about is knowing how to find that need. Because guess what? There are some people, their jobs is to create business opportunities. They know how to find the need, they know how to get out the need. And now what they do is to go and look for a person who can meet these needs. It doesn't have to be you. If you want it to be you, it's just as good, but it doesn't have to be you. Guess what? You can go on Fiverr, not as a service provider, but as a customer. You don't know jack about graphic design, but you go and collect graphic design jobs, get on Fiverr, look for one graphic designer guy that can collect something lower than what you have charged, give the job to the person. I just use that as an illustration. But the point I'm trying to make is, even if it is website development, even if it is project management, even if it's any of all those big stuff, there are service providers that are waiting, looking for business. You be the connector. That is the business model that is thriving today. You don't have to be the skilled person. Your skill could just be how to be a connector, how to be a finder, collect finder's fee. Whether in real estate, in services, in hospitality, insurance, anything, your job is just to know how to look for the business, look for the service provider, look for the customer, connect them together, make a margin. Soft life. You don't need to go and kill yourself over 5 years learning the thing. Give it to the person that has already learned it for 5 years and make a margin. Not everyone talks about their needs. Exactly. That is why you don't need to go about it the direct way. You don't say, oh God, what is your need? No. Let technology do the lifting for you. There are ways that you can use insight to just look around this person and study someone's life and know that something is missing and present it to that person, and all of a sudden, boom. I asked a question yesterday, who wants another challenge? But nobody even asked me what challenge it is. It's not 100 days, the new me challenge. It's another challenge. This one is advanced. And this one, you're going to pay through your nose. Because it's not for everybody. It's not for those that won't come to class. I just said I should drop it right here. Everybody didn't drop it in the group. Those that were saying me. It's easy to say me. But this one is going to be practical. It might just be 10 people in the group. And I'm going to charge you guys a fortune. But I can guarantee you by now, if you don't know what I'm capable of, then you don't belong to me. I will take just 10 people or 20 people, but just a very small people that I'm going to be dealing with directly, and I'm going to go laser target into that thing that you need to scale on and get your results. But you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay heavily. Now, back to meeting needs. You don't need to worry about having the skills. You don't need to worry about learning all those things afresh. Oftentimes, and let me tell you, like I said, all these things are from my personal learning. Let me tell you a bit of my story. I started out life as a designer, graphic designer. Then I said I wanted to study architecture. But there was no architecture in University of Ibadan where I studied. So I moved into mechanical engineering. Second year into mechanical engineering, I knew I wasn't going to practice because I fell in love with advertising design. I just loved the way lovely billboards came about and all that and stuff. I finished school. I took all the certificates, I threw it in one bag, and I kept it there. I'm sure that certificate is brown by now. And I started life as an advertiser. And I've done this. In fact, right from when I was still in school, I had already started doing designs, doing copy, doing voiceover, doing all of these kind of things and stuff. I loved it. That was my life. And I did it I'm like 25 years into the whole thing now. I spent 15 years in an advertising agency to understand what I'm talking about properly. And I've now come to realize that all the graphic design for me is a passion. But if I think that I need to be a graphic designer to deliver graphic design service, I'm joking. Because I now realize that, hey, wait a minute. In the area of scaling your needs, and I ask myself, how much do they even pay graphic designers now? Because if I actually use my passion to quote for a graphic design job, they won't give it to me. When I tell you that I want to design something for 500K, of course you will say I'm mad because you don't understand. I'm Picasso. I'm not their mate. So rather than arguing with you about the price of graphic design, I left graphic design for them and I scaled on to other things. And I advanced in my value ladder in the course of time until I found myself in business consulting. That's just a bit of my story, just to let you know that you don't need to stick with one thing for life. Evaluate how much is that thing earning you. If that thing is earning you thorough and kobo, leave it alone and go and look for the big money. Because in today's age, your thorough and kobo cannot pay your bills. If you are in a service delivery service, I know that what they are paying you for that service is peanuts. Please leave it alone. Go and look for bigger business. Go and look for other business. You get the point I'm trying to make. So don't let your ego tie you down. That is what I'm trying to say. And that's what I opened up with. Whatever I think that you thought you've learned in school, leave it alone. That was school. Let me tell you what school was meant to do for you. School was meant for you to meet people. Don't bank on the degrees that flow like a thermometer. Don't bank on those degrees. School was meant to make you meet people, know how to relate with people, know how to have friends. The knowledge is by the way, because all that knowledge is on YouTube right now. So I'm not saying don't go for professional courses. I'm not saying that don't study. It is beautiful. But whatever it is that you are doing right now, whatever it is that you are investing right now, if you are investing $5,000 in any course, that course better be bringing you $5 million, or else you're wasting your time. You get what I'm trying to make? All of us, we get so stuck in activities. There's this course I must go for. There's this course I must get. There's this certificate I must get. No, what you should ask yourself is why? What is the why beneath the why? Have you done your 7 levels deep? Before you invest in anything, do your 7 levels deep. Because most of the things that you are pretty much investing yourself in are things that you can actually broker and get a sweet deal from. So nobody has any right to be broke. If you love the thing, I've shown you in one of our classes, I've shown you that chart before about the difference between your vocation, your passion, your mission, and all those things. So you can know the things that people can pay for. You can know the things that people want. You can know the things that you just like it for your own personal passion. They are different. So don't go mistaking the things that you like for yourself, thinking that that's what people will pay for. There are some things that you actually like for yourself that by the time people tell you how much they will pay for it, they will make you cry. I'm so passionate about this issue right now that is burning me up inside and making me sweat inside, because I don't want any one of us to be broke anymore. I want our eyes to be open. And it is only one limit I've been dealing with, to ignorance. I'm not talking about comfort. You know what? Let's talk about comfort for a bit. Comfort is the next enemy, because you have food to eat, because you have a place to sleep, because you have a roof over your head, because you still have 2 shirts and 1 pair of jeans. You get so comfortable because you have no idea what your new self ought to have. That is the limit of comfort. Comfort provides you a floor, but it also caps you a ceiling. You need to introduce yourself to the new you. If your new you sees what your old you is doing, your new you is in first class cabin in a flight, while your old you is taking night bus, and you're saying, and the cushion of this night bus is fine, no, and this, look at the window, is lovely. Meanwhile, the new you is in first class flight. The new you is on a sea cruise. But the old you is so comfortable with the fact that at least this bus is comfortable. The new you is like, this car, at least it takes me from point A to point B. How many of us are on that road right now? This car, at least it takes me from point A to point B. That's the old you. You only need to introduce yourself to the new you and see what your new you is doing. That's comfort. Comfort blinds the eyes. Comfort gives you a skewed idea of success. God wants to use you to build a city. You are saying, at least I thank God for my bungalow. At least I have a house. You need to stop seeing with your natural senses, and you need to switch to your supernatural senses so that you can have a clearer picture of what God has in mind for you. I painted it at the beginning. I said the new you actually exists. It was just hidden in the old you. But you need to start seeing them. Stress, fatigue. You got on a challenge, and by day 30, you were tired. That is the old you. That is the limit that is preventing you from seeing the old you. Day 1, you showed up. You were full of fire. Your hands were running comments on every session. Day 3, well, watch delay broadcast, Jerry. Day 4, you can't plus delay plus broadcast. We don't even see your brake light again. Day 50, you're completely out of the radar. Oh, I'm swamped. Oh, headache. Oh, I'm dying. Oh, stress. Oh, fatigue. These are the limits that are killing you. They want to deny you from seeing the new you. It's a fight. You must wear your boxing gloves and fight them. Attention span, same thing. Discouragement. I've already done 50 days. I've not blown yet. But have you maintained consistency? this workbook, I'm tired. I'll be writing the same thing every day. In fact, if you look at my workbook now, I can't even remember the last time I filled it. What is even happening, Seth? Discouragement, overwhelm. In fact, I'm tired. Everything, I'm tired. I'm tired. Everything, all the world is all over my head. Is it only me? If you want something bad enough, you will do something hard enough. If you want something bad enough, you will do something hard enough. So for value, I've touched a bit on value. Because of time, let me just quickly run to income and expenses. Now, speaking of income, you have that word, triple word that you know very well. You have to make money, you have to manage money, and you have to multiply money. Let's break it down. Make money, manage money, and multiply money. How do you make money? I think I've spent the last 1 hour teaching you how to make money. Money is very easy to make because money never left planet Earth. Nigeria's money never left Nigeria. As much as Nigeria claimed to be broke, it's broke because Nigeria is not producing. Nigeria is only consuming. So we don't have dollars. What we just have is our naira that has lower power to buy anything. But it doesn't mean that the wealth has left this country. There is still wealth under our feet. Mineral resources, countless. There's wealth in arable land, agriculture, countless. There is wealth in between our ears, ideas, fintech, creativity, movies, music. All our exports in creativity is making stupendous money. Ashake went to do a show in O2 Arena, sold out. There is wealth. But in what direction are we looking at? Are you focusing on abundance mindset or focusing on scarcity mindset? So making money is not a problem. If you can position yourself well enough for people who have money that are looking for people to trust to give it to, they can do that. If you want a full scale course on what I've shared today, if you want a detailed program on how to be financially on top of your game, see me after service. I will bill you because you must understand the value of this thing. Now, managing money, that is where financial discipline comes to play. Financial discipline also helps you to understand the difference between abundant mindset and scarcity mindset. It helps you to understand the difference between your needs and your wants. It helps you to understand how to prioritize what you need to do with money. It helps you to understand the difference between assets and liabilities. There is a long list of things you need to do in the management of money. Oftentimes, we make the mistake of buying liability, thinking we're buying assets. There's a science to this thing. Even in real estate, it's not every piece of real estate that is an asset. There are so many pieces of real estate that are liabilities, but you need to know the difference. Vehicle, there are so many auto vehicles that are liabilities and not assets. You need to know the difference. If you put money into something and it's not giving you at least more than what you put into it, it is a liability. You must know the difference. That's where managing comes in. We can't deal with managing today. Then we're not talking about multiplying. Multiplying is how do you put in 1 naira and make sure that you get more than 1 naira for every time you sink in money. It is until you can fulfill the making, managing, and multiplying of money, you will always groan or struggle when it comes to finances. Just to buy workbook, people are struggling. How much is workbook? just to buy food, the next meal. People are struggling. To pay school fees, people are struggling. To pay for rent, people are struggling. All this must stop. All this must stop. And that is why enough of see, I want to shake tables tonight. Enough of going to crusades and asking God for breakthrough. God has been breaking your head since. The answers have been right in front of you, but you've been going somewhere else looking for what does not exist. You have enough answers in front of you. You see crusade ground, everybody's there pretending to be looking for Jesus. It's a lie. They're looking for money where there is no money. Let's tell ourselves the truth now. Let's talk about expenses. Expenses are what you know that the moment you let the money go, that money is not coming back. So you must be clear on yourself that what you are letting this money go, that money is not coming back. It is what you are getting in return that is coming back. That is expense. But oftentimes we mistake expense for investment. Time has gone. Guys, should I close? I think we can leave mental life. Let's give some energy to mental life some other time. Or what do you guys think? I want to hear from you. Comments. Should I continue or should I stop? Because we've done over an hour already. But I okay, want me to finish expense. Good. Expense is a function of financial discipline. In your budget, when you have money, as the spirit leads, when you have money, you must understand that for starters, human needs are insatiable. There will always be needs. Big head, big headache. Maybe when you had small money, the kind of things that you desired were small things. The moment extra change enters your pocket, that's when your mind will remind you that, oh, you remember this thing, it's time to get it. The moment another extra change enter, you must know that, you need to go for it. Yes, I'm coming to that in a bit. What I'm trying to say is, before you start expense, you must have what is called a budget. Just like a company has what you call capital expenditure and operating expenditure. Even in your life, maybe as an individual or as a home, you will have what you will call fixed expense and variable expense. I mean, every month, there are some things that you know that they are given. In fact, that is what even helps you to know how much money that you should be chasing. By the time you do the math, how much is your how much do you spend on utility bills? That's telecom, power, internet, all those things, water, gas. How much do you spend on groceries, toiletries, food, cosmetics, all those blah blah blah? The things that you know that they are consumables and you need them regularly. There are some things that they are just there. Those are like your fixed expense. How much do you spend on your service providers? Maybe the person who mows your lawn, your house help, all those domestic help, all those people that you pay salaries to. All those ones, they are, you know those expenses already. You set them apart. By the time you look at how much is in the pot and how much is going out, there are some expenses, you know that these ones are fixed. That's why I said you must know that this money, once you let them go, they are not coming back. They are not investments. So it is for you to decide, am I ready to let this money go? And if you feel you need to cut back on how much you are paying domestic staff, ask yourself, which of the domestic work you can take on by yourself and let them go. So it's a budget situation. If you are still using generator that uses fuel, ask yourself, how much do you spend on fuel for your car or for your generator? Or you make a decision and say to yourself, do I really just want to take some sizable amount of money and invest in green energy, solar, so that I can cut back on my fossil fuel expense? These are things that you need to think about in expenses. Even for your groceries and utility, there are some things you need to figure out. How do I get a good deal? Do I buy in bulk? Or every day you send someone, go and buy a sachet of milk down the road. Go and buy a sachet of milk down the road. Or you just say to yourself, let me just go to the market and buy one fat ass sachet and put it in a bucket and dispense. These are where you apply wisdom. Our ladies, you know these things already. You know how to deal with expense, but there are times that you just need to know the difference between what is essential and what is non-essential. I mean, COVID taught us better. I hope I've been able to do some justice to expense, because we really can't blow everything up. But I just want you to understand that nobody has, no matter how bad the economy is, even in war, people are making money. In Ukraine, people are making money. So enough of this limiting mindset that makes us think that money is difficult to make or money is difficult to get. That is why you have a God that you pray to open your inner senses, to extend your antenna, to give you an opportunity radar, to begin to see where the need is, to begin to see where you position yourself. Every time I get out of my comfort zone, maybe I'm getting on a flight, I'm always praying, God, sit me next to an opportunity. And I open my mouth. You see my phone, I have this name, Kineko flight, this one, Abuja flight, this one, Uyo flight, this one, Benin flight. I make sure I must establish a conversation with everybody that I know, because it's a game of numbers. The more people you know, the more goodwill you make, the more opportunities you can extend, the more potentials for deals. Some people, they get on a plane and just before the thing take off, everybody has their priorities. Me, I open my eyes, I don't sleep. I establish conversation. Even if the person next to me wants to sleep, I say, oh God, don't sleep. I start the conversation, I engage the person, we laugh, 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 laugh. And before the flight is over, we exchange contacts. What do you do? What are your needs? What do you want? What does it? I sniff needs. I don't joke with that. I don't joke with that at all. It's been a pleasure serving you guys. And I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that the new you is itching to burst out. Don't contain it any further. We've got just 23 days or how many more days to go? I want the remaining days of this challenge. Let's fire on all cylinders. For all of us that have been sleeping, let's wake up. If you know your accountability partner, go and call that person tonight and say, there's work. There's work. We've been playing around. And don't get me wrong, money is not the only thing. There are 7 areas of our lives. See what I've said only about money alone. So imagine you fight money, you win. You fight mental, you win. You fight emotions, you win. You fight social, you win. You fight environmental, you win. You fight spiritual, you win. You fight physical, you win. You become a champion. I mean, just picture it for a second, what that kind of person would be. The person that is on top of every one of his game. Please, please, and please, let's not leave money on the table. God has surrounded us with wealth. And he's making us to understand that if any one of us is broke, is our fault. I shared with you some sessions ago that he said the master gave some 5, gave some 2, gave some 1. It is according to how they have demonstrated themselves. It's not God that made them 5, 2, or 1. It is what they did of themselves that determined what they got. If you can be a 5, stop being a 2. If you can be a 2, stop being a 1. There's a better version of you out there. There's a better version of you out there. In every area of your life. Let's go knock out those limits. Knock out those limits. Please get on WhatsApp and saying, I am knocking out every limit. You know the limits. I've mentioned 6 of them today. Ignorance, comfort, stress and fatigue, attention span, discouragement, overwhelm. Let's go knock out all those limits. And I'll see you on the other side. Thank you, guys. Have yourself a good evening.